outside. This is K4CO Radio. This is Josh from the morning show. Sitting here with Kev. Kev on the radio. How's it going, Kev?
Good afternoon. Great.
Yeah, nice. Heck yeah. Well, we got a special guest in our studio today, Mr. Harold Kiefer, who is the owner of Hitch Corner that's been in Littleton for 35 years. Long time. How's it going, Harold?
Going well.
I was blown away. The amount of inventory you guys have.
Well, that's what I try to tell everybody. It's amazing. That's why I loved you guys coming down there to see that. Because, I can talk about it all day, but until people actually see it,
Right.
then they're like, oh my goodness, you do have quite a bit of stuff. So,
And I love how you said that you try to keep the inventory very big so that you make sure that you have most anything people would call for.
within reason, obviously.
Yeah.
The more specific on, very specific models, sometimes we can't have it all in stock, but we do our best to get it quickly if not. But yes, you're absolutely correct.
Nice. Well, how's business been going? I mean, springtime is coming up here. It's nice.
It has sprung for sure. The last 4 weeks have really gotten busy, which is great. So,
Yeah. No, busy is awesome. I'd much rather be slammed than bored.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, wanted to start off since spring is approaching. What do you see are kind of like the main needs right now with springtime approaching? When people come in, what is the main things that they need?
Right now, is everyone's getting set up for whether it's their camping or for their boat trailer or for their bicycle. It's getting hitches, getting their vehicles prepped, ready. So as simple as just getting the trailer hitch up to the hitch and the wiring. Those are the two big ones right now. Followed by doing a lot of flat tow setups, so setting up a lot of cars to be flat towed behind motorhomes, averaging probably 2 to 3 a week, if not more, which is crazy for us. It's a substantial install. So it's a good item to have for us to do a lot of.
How long does it usually take to?
That's a good full day to a day and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we're basically completely dismantling the front of the vehicle, mounting what they call a base plate up, which is all frame mounted. We're then wiring it to tie into the vehicle's wiring system at the rear. And then on the front, we're running some other wiring, putting that all back together, and then also putting in an auxiliary brake system. So that vehicle brakes when you're braking. So it's pretty intense. Obviously, some vehicles a little bit easier than others, but on average, day and a half.
So you're not talking just a car dolly here.
No, right? Yeah. So, but we do sell car dollies.
Right.
It's just a matter of, the issue with a car dolly is twofold. One is when you get your destination, where do you put it?
Right.
Because between the motorhome and your car, you've already too long for your slot. So they're going to make you take it out to BFE, so to speak, and you better hope it's still there when you come back.
Right.
The other issue, it's a little bit more difficult to hook it. You'd have to get on the ground to hook it up. And then certain vehicles, great example, like the Jeep Wranglers, the newer ones, they can be towed all 4 wheels down. They cannot be towed with 2 wheels up. So it's some vehicles just can't be used with a tow dolly, but there are definitely some that it's easy. A tow dolly, especially if you have multiple vehicles. If it works, it's great. It's an easy way to do it. So.
Nice. And you also you do performance and safety testing with all of your installations. Go through a little bit of that with us.
Yeah, so when we get done with a hitch, we'll make sure, one, that everything's been torqued to specs like they're supposed to be. Make sure that everything that we've dismantled, like a lot of cases we have to drop the exhaust off their hangers to make sure all the hangers are back up. And then when we've wired we make sure that we've tested all the wiring to be working. So when they leave, we know it's all working correctly.
Gotcha. And you also you do regular safety inspections for your customers.
Yes, people can make an appointment to come in. We can check the torque specs on those bolts, make sure everything is good, make sure everything looks good. And then we'll double check the wiring at that point, just make sure we don't see any issues. Especially with like a lot of the factory ones, we'll check even factory jobs to make sure that all the fuses are still correct. So even though we didn't do it, we'll definitely schedule a time we can check that out for customers.
And if you do the installation, if you do everything, is that all covered under your warranty?
So the warranties generally go, first of all, on any of the products we install, everything's warranted through the manufacturer. So obviously those have some limitations. Most things like a trailer hitch, though, they're warranted for as long as you own the vehicle. Wiring is really only warranted for about 30 days. However, if you ever have an issue with anything we've installed, we just say, give us a call right away. We'd like to look at it. Let's find out what's going on. Because there's certain things that can go wrong that are outside of what we've done, but we want to see what that is and be helpful as quickly as possible. So
Right. And I take it wiring, is that something where it could just be a very simple fix?
Can be
What's going
simple.
on?
The biggest issue is so in a lot of vehicles we have to put in what they call a modulite, which is most vehicles have turn signals and brake lights separate. Whereas if you'll notice, every trailer's like our old American days, turn signal, brake light on the same wire. So basically we're putting a box in to bring in left turn, right turn, and brake, and on the output, left and brake is on the same wire, and right are on the same wire.
Yeah, that could get confusing.
So it gets a little confusing.
if, you're
but the
behind
issue is that box only expects power out of it. So if we get power back into it, it becomes a problem. So when you get older trailers, wires start to be exposed. They touch metal. We ground out. Power comes back up. Now we've taken that box out. So no matter what I do, I could replace that, and you go hook up that same trailer, you could blow like that. So we have to make sure that we correct, one, that we get that fixed. But number two is we let the customers know, you need to go through your trailer, look for anything that's exposed. If you don't see anything, you may want to have us go through it and look, because the problem will just continue and continue and continue.
Right.
And when it's an outside source that's causing the problems, we can't warranty that, unfortunately. So.
Well, for everyone who's listening in, at hitchcorner.com, we're sitting down with the owner, Harold Kiefer, and this is off 10677 West Centennial in Littleton, right near C470 and Kipling area.
That is correct. Yeah, right in the King Carroll Business Center.
And you guys have been in business for 35 years, but experience 50 years.
That is correct, between myself and all my employees. And that number's actually probably gone up a little bit, but we're right there. So, yeah.
Gotcha. And if you are listening in, do know that we are streaming live on all of our social media platforms now. K4CO Radio is, so you can see our wonderful faces. You do a lot of different installations at Hitch Corner.
Yes.
It's not just hitches and accessories.
That is correct.
So,
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Tell us about everything.
Sure. So obviously hitches are our big one, towing accessories second. But then we get into a full line of vehicle and truck accessories. So on the truck side, what's big for us, step bars, grill guards, bumpers, tonneau covers, so the bed covers, headache racks, which are the racks that go right behind the cab. So if you're like loading stuff in, you can't put it through your back window. Truck racks, so a lot for the contractors out there that want to do ladders going over the whole bed, but then get their whole bed back. So that's very popular as well. And then beyond that is even going into internal. So we carry, floor liners, bed mats for the bed. It kind of goes on, to be honest with you, from that perspective. Then we get into our bike racks and ski racks. So we have roof racks, whether it's for a bike rack or ski rack, or a cargo carrier for the roof. That's become popular. And then your whole overlanding has changed the game. So we have, whether it's off the roof or off of the truck bed, we can set up the racks so you can put rooftop tents on. So a little of everything on that side, awnings for that matter. So, but yeah, it's kind of one that it's. I tell everyone out there, if you're curious, either email or give us a call, because through all our distributors, there's not much we can't get. Sometimes I'll be honest, maybe it may not be in our wheelhouse, but I still may be able to get it, and then I can look at how difficult it may be to install if it's something we haven't done. But very few products we cannot get for customers out there.
And at this point, pretty much not a whole lot you can't do, can't install.
At this point, no, for the moment.
Right.
Yeah, there's certain circumstances for sure that's not always true, but I would say 95 plus. Yeah.
And how about snow plowing?
So snow plows, we don't do the big heavy duty commercials, the one with the hydraulics, but we carry two lines. We carry one that's an electronic one. It's by K2. It goes up and down with electric winch. And all these are mounted onto a front 2-inch receiver. So they're not heavy duty, so to speak. My electric one is pretty heavy, but nothing like the hydraulics.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is at the end of the season, you're not replacing, front end components. But our aluminum one, which is the Snow Sport, that's our most popular. Very down and dirty. The whole thing only weighs 200 pounds. You're not beating anything up. Easy to store. It angles left to right. So this is really big for our guys with long driveways. In our case, we do our own building. So if you have a couple buildings you're going to do, it works out great. But I don't, those guys are going building to building to building. We probably aren't as best suited for that.
Right, for the big commercials.
But for the simple ones, for sure. Yeah. Better than ever plowing, like on an ATV, because you're cold.
Sure.
And much better than shoveling, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kevin actually was in snow plowing many years ago, and
for
talks
many years.
about it. Yeah,
right.
He loved it.
Oh,
yeah,
it's especially around here, it's kind of crazy. I've always been asked to get into it. But you've probably experienced it then. So now when you have a dry summer, you are stuck with
it's
a
rough.
lot of inventory. It's a tough gig. And it's amazing for all the plowers out there because it's a tough game to play for sure.
Relying on the weather, definitely.
Exactly.
The Colorado weather. You know?
Yes.
I hope we get another snow, though, personally.
Just one more.
Just one more. We need something. What types of things would you say people overlook when it comes to towing accessories?
I think first and foremost is generally, kind of depends on how far we want to go into this, but generally first is knowing what their vehicle itself can handle. We have a lot of, I had one today, and it wasn't, nothing against him, but he has a Volkswagen GTI. He's trying to do a big move, and he wanted to know if he could do like the U-Haul 6x12 trailer. And it just won't handle it, And so it's, at least he was being proactive, checking before, as opposed to coming to me, getting us all set up, and then they call me back and say, I can't tow this trailer.
Right.
So at least he was great about asking. But I think generally, though, it's oversight of what they have and what they're trying to achieve. So kind of like we talked about the last time, a guy with a 5.5-foot bed truck trying to pull, a 40-foot fifth wheel trailer, just generally it can be accomplished, but it's not the best way to go about things.
I bet you get a lot of that where people they already have their own car. They want to get the fifth wheel, but then...
Then you got to figure out how to do everything. Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I tell everyone, it's we try to educate as well, but it's an education. A lot of people can do their own just kind of research, but they can always call and ask. But it's an education process and a lot of this to find out that they can do what they want to do.
Gotcha. So I know there's a lot of DIY stuff out there.
Yeah.
I personally, unless I know exactly what I'm doing, don't want to DIY, do it yourself. But there's something about a professional installation, and you guys back all of your installations as well. And you said something the other time that I want to touch on too, where you even get discounts if it's purchased through you guys and installed through you guys.
Yeah. So we have a whole price structure that's laid out that if you buy it from us, we know exactly what the labor rates are for those going products, and we've discounted as much as we can. Obviously, we have to make our buck.
Right.
But then if you bring a product to us, we're going to take that same product, and the labor is going to be about 1.5 times what it normally would be, because we're trying to be helpful to the people that are buying the product from us. We still want to be helpful to get people to bring it to us, but we need to justify, doing that for them at that point. On the professional install, obviously the biggest issue is really the warranty. Now that doesn't mean that if you buy a product, through somebody else and install it yourself, that hitch still has its own warranty. But there's a lot of caveats that go with that, and they're going to say, okay, did you install it correctly? Did you torque everything?
Right.
And if you don't, and they'll check, then it's like, that's unfortunate. Then that warranty's gone. So if it comes through us, we're indemnified. No, if we screw up, even that warranty's still covered, meaning we were supposed to have done it correctly. I'd say 99.9 we do. But if something goes wrong with that install, we back it, obviously, but then the manufacturer backs us as well. So if something were to be damaged on a trailer hitch for any reason, that gets replaced, we replace it, and there's no cost for that replacement if the warranty issue fell on us. So, generally other things, a good example of, this hitches are warranted for as long as you own it, but let's say they rust out. Sometimes that doesn't get warranted. There's a lot of things, especially if you're on the East Coast, the game can be difficult. So we do our best. So I go to the manufacturer. If we can get that product for free, generally then we will at least charge for the labor to replace it.
Right.
Because if their hitch is rusty, that means those bolts are going to be a pain in the backside to get out. So there's some time involved. But what I try to tell everyone, we try to work with every one of our customers. If they ever have an issue, plain and simple, please contact us. We want to make it right, whatever that issue may be.
Exactly.
Whether it's our fault or not. So
Right. And I think that's why I think professional installation is the best, especially with stuff like this, because going through a warranty from the company could almost be like insurance. Like,
yeah, it could take months.
Exactly. And a whole list of stuff. Oh, you didn't do this little part.
Well, the biggest issue now, and we have the same issue, is if you're not paying attention, they'll ask for like the UPC code off of a box, meaning the cutout of that piece. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't even have that. So at least I can at least be a little bit more pushy with a manufacturer distributor. Whereas, that third party, they're going to just run in through the ringers probably, unfortunately. So,
right, exactly. I saw on your website, and we're talking about third party equipment installs here, and Are there certain installs that are third party that you don't do?
That's a great question. I would say as long as it's the same stuff that's in our wheelhouse. So, for instance, great like Kevin brought up, if you brought me a hydraulic snowplow, I'm going to say no.
Right.
You know, but if it's a trailer hitch, and again, caveat, I keep saying the word caveat today, but as long as that hitch is made specifically for the vehicle, it's new. We won't install a used product. But no, as long as it's in our truck accessory, our trailer hitch world, we generally will always do it. One of our questions we get a lot is some people are buying some of the OEM products, and all we ever ask if we haven't done one before, we just need to see instructions up front, and then we'll give you a quote on what that labor would be.
Oh, okay. So even if it's not something in your wheelhouse, there is a possibility.
Yeah,
that
we
you
just
can
need to
still...
see those instructions, and we're honest. Trust me, I don't need to be wasting your time if I see something that's not going to be, conducive for us. There's some wiring. Like a good example, there's a wiring product out there, like on a BMW, where you're dismantling the whole fuse box. You're separating those fuse boxes. You're pulling wires out, putting a wire in, and I'm like, that's just not us. And that's all I'm going to do is cause more grief than anything. So
Not your wheelhouse.
Not our wheelhouse, and you need someone very specific to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
So.
I want to throw out real quick, and everybody, hitchcorner.com. You can see all this information if you're watching on live stream on our social media platforms. But if you are listening to the radio, check out hitchcorner.com. You have a wonderful rating, 4.8 out of 5 rating from more than 450 satisfied customers. That's impressive.
I'm very. I love seeing that because it's kind of proof, right? I mean, that's the world we live in. So, so I've been very happy with it, and I think we all live in this thing that you realize you have to work to get to that. So obviously, making our customers happy has been, at least I would say, proven. So yeah.
What do you attribute to that success right there?
I think first and foremost is the crew I have at the store. So I'm not there all that often as much anymore, and so I've got a great, my manager Paul is a rock star. I've got 2 great installers, Josh and Brian, and I attribute to really the 3 of them because they're the ones that are interacting with these customers day in, day out. Kind of like you hit on is making sure that we explain what we've done and how things work. And then also along those same lines, when something goes wrong, we're there to correct it. I think that's the one issue I have with a lot of these is when someone gets upset, they just throw out a 1-star and don't even give you the chance to resolve it. Yeah. I think we've been lucky with our customers where they've reached out first and let us resolve the problem, whatever that may be. A lot of times I find out, it's always interesting when a customer, goes off the deep end and yells at you and then you resolve the problem. It's not our problem. It's been really good to actually hear them say, hey, I really apologize. And generally sometimes we'll get a nice write-up like, hey, came here, thought it was their screw up, really wasn't. Thanks for resolving it. So, so I think I attribute it to people being just a bit more honest and helpful. I think people realize that getting a 5-star is pretty impressive and helpful to everybody, right? Just like us talking about it, for that matter.
Exactly. And I feel a lot of like negative reviews or stuff like that. 1, can be corrected easily. 2, it's like somebody writing a negative review for a product, not you.
Oh, absolutely. I think we said this the last time. I had one that someone complained because we weren't open at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. And I've never had it posted that I'm ever open at 2. And I'm like, I apologize, but I'm like, we never said we were open at 2. Not sure how I get a 1-star for that, but okay. So.
And you are open Monday through Saturday.
So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 8 to noon.
8 to noon. Gotcha. Yes. Man, I bet your installers are just absolutely slammed.
They get slammed. We've had some crazy day. This week's already been a crazy week, so it happens. And they rise to the occasion. They do great. So yeah, it's been good.
Nice. When our videographer and I were over at your place, it was really cool how you had different ways where you could put hitches and equipment behind bumpers so that you can't even see it.
Yeah, depends on the vehicle. Okay. So the one that you saw was, I believe, the Volkswagen Ascent, if I remember correctly.
And then I think I saw a Jeep as well.
And the Jeep, and yes, and there was a Jeep. So some of the Grand Cherokees, and that just depends on the vehicle itself.
Okay.
Now, as opposed to some of the aftermarket work out there, so a good example is a Jeep Grand Cherokee. If that bumper doesn't have what they call a bumper cover, the cover that comes off, then we can put a hitch in behind there. Well, that would mean the factory has to get involved now, and they're changing up. They're taking that bumper off, putting a whole different bumper on, And so it just depends on the vehicle whether we have that option or not. I think the one I just realized now you're talking about, though, is the Stealth Hitch was the one.
Yes.
It's exactly. Okay, so the Stealth Hitch is a whole different manufacturing company. What they do is the hitch mounts like we normally do. Generally speaking, we're still removing the whole rear of the vehicle to put them on. But when you're not towing, the receiver drops out. So you don't see anything. And then when you're ready to put your bike rack in or to tow, that slides in from the bottom, and now you're ready to utilize it. So BMWs, Audis, Porsches, all the higher end vehicles, generally speaking, where people are very particular about the look of their vehicle, don't want to see that hitch. Right. It's been a nice feature for us to add, to say the least. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I bet.
Are older models easier to deal with than newer models?
Depends on
Imports, domestic? Or is there a car that rolls up and you're like, oh, yike?
Well, yeah, I think a good example, any of the Porsche or the Audis, the nice thing is, again, between Josh and Brian, since they've done them so much, not as big of a deal, really. But back in, when we first were doing it, when you have to, dismantle a whole rear bumper, it can be problematic. What we've learned, our biggest issue is in the winter. We've got to let that car sit inside for about an hour to 2 hours because a clip will break so easily, and we've learned that one little break is costly, to say the least. So, but definitely, back in our day, if I see like, an F-150 or a Super Duty 99 to 2017, 2019 pull up, we're like, this is a no-brainer. Let's bang this out. Yeah. We could line some of these. I tell people, if we could get these all day long, I could be a multi-millionaire in a heartbeat. Right.
Right. I love how you said Porsche. It's just like, I'm one of those people that's just like, why do you have a Porsche SUV? What's next? A Ferrari minivan?
Right.
Just wait for it.
Exactly.
Well, you got the Bentley SUV. I've never seen I don't know if it comes with a hitch. I've never seen one in our shop before, but I have a couple of friends that own one, so I'm not sure if if they can tow or not. So.
Bentley, I don't think I've seen that one, actually. You have an extensive catalog of accessories. I mean, like Bible.
Yes.
Extensive. Yes. So what's the best way for people to search your inventory? Because you have the website, hitchstore.com. It's a great website, but even last time when you were in here, you said not everything is on there.
Yeah. Oh, by far. In fact, most of our website is mostly just to show people what we can do. So, on the RV accessory side, one thing they can do is they can come in and grab our catalog. We have an RV catalog that also lists a lot of the truck accessories in there as well. For like a trailer hitch, the best is to either call or email. We have a request line right on our website where you can request a quote. Or if they're getting more specific, like you're going down the road and you see, like, let's just say a pair of step bars on a truck and say, that looked really cool. If you can tell us what that might be or do the research, like I say, I like to brag, we have all these distributors, but it's tough to, when a distributor's carrying 12 different manufacturers of step bars, or tonneau covers or any of that, it's tough to figure out exactly what they were looking for. So it's just a matter of communicating with us what exactly you're trying to find, and then we do the research on the backside. I won't say it's the easiest. My website's not going to be super helpful to let you find out if we have that particular in stock or not, for sure. So, all right.
But the website even allows you to text them.
Yes, you can text. Well. Yeah, which is great. It's one that I was hesitant to do it, and then I realized how many people prefer to text than email any day. Yeah. So we probably get 20 texts a day over 5 emails.
Is that because it's a quicker response?
I think so. And we try to get back. Doesn't mean that we're, sometimes we're hectic, can't get back to it. But I think that's the concept, and it's more immediate for sure. So, yeah. Yeah.
I really like that too. And you're with an actual person. I remember a while ago online, it was started out as people responding.
Right.
Now it's all like AI stuff.
Like the chat bot and everything. The chat bot. It's so true. Yeah.
So actually having a human being there reading it, going back and forth, that is volumes.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it does. I think it helps the experience for sure. Definitely. I agree.
Right. You also train your customers in all the products you install.
Yeah, so great. So, whether it's, especially we do a setup for a flat tow, we're going to walk you through how to set up that tow bar, how to hook up the wiring, how to do the brake system. If we're doing a trailer with a weight distribution system, which is where the bars and brackets are on the trailer, we're going to show you how how to install, how to uninstall. You don't have to do so much training on, a trailer hitch other than to show them how it goes in. But bike racks, if we sell a bike rack, we're going to show you, make sure how to put it in the hitch, how the bikes are supposed to go on. So And again, it's one of those ones that we tell people, if you get home and something doesn't make sense, call us. You can come down, we can walk you right through whatever we installed, whether it is a hitch and wiring. Like, I got home, I don't really even see the wiring, because we try to kind of hide it within reason. It's all there, but it's kind of, meshed in. So if we did miss something on something we didn't think we had to train on, we're always there to say, hey, come on down, let's show you real quick. Because we want to make sure the experience is good and make sure you're utilizing what you're getting from us.
Right, exactly. And you understand fully what you're doing.
Exactly correct. Yep. Exactly.
And you also do the roof racks as well for bikes and skis?
We do. So roof racks, the roof racks for bikes and ski racks, as well as we're talking the rooftop tents. We can do almost anything off the top there now. So
right.
Yeah.
You see a big push for any e-bike stuff. I know e-bikes are just blowing up here in Colorado.
Yeah, big time. Big on the bike racks for sure. And one of the more difficult ones we've had are guys that are towing a trailer and want to take e-bikes. So, in some cases, some trailers have a hitch at the back that we can do a bike rack, but a lot of times they don't. And it wasn't until probably, I think I just saw this 3 weeks ago, finally one of our manufacturers is making a platform style that goes right above, if you're acquainted with a trailer, at the front above the propane bottles and above the jack. It comes all frame mounted, and they can handle 2 e-bikes up to 80 pounds, which is pretty impressive. But that then allows you to take your trailer and your 2 e-bikes. So that'll be a good one for us, because that's what people are looking for. And e-bikes it's amazing, but they're so heavy, you have to be real aware of whatever you're putting on cannot handle them.
Yeah, so. you said you were saying that because of what they're made out of in the frame, that you need a high tech, a really good sturdy one for e-bikes.
Absolutely, and it's always going to be a platform, so it's going to be mounted. The wheels are going to be up. The nice things, not the one there. So that's going to be the one issue, is lifting an e-bike
on top of the roof,
5 foot, 6 foot up. Is nuts.
Yeah.
But at least the ones off our rear, all of them come with a ramp to make it easy to get the e-bike onto the rack. So, but so there's some cases we can resolve the issue. Doesn't mean that it's going to be the most convenient. So,
right. Had to get to this one just because you've been in business for 35 years and you've seen a lot. I want to hear some of the craziest safety mishaps you've seen from
first
people
of all,
that came
or any do-it-yourself jobs that came in.
I'm always going to start with, I hate to see them, because you feel bad for the person, plain and simple.
Of course.
So one that has happened a lot, I haven't seen it as much recently, but we'll start with a flat toe of a car, and that is, so you hook the tow bar up to the front of your car and you put 2 pins in to hold it. Inevitably, someone puts the pin in, didn't put the clip, and then they're going down, and now that car is going crazy. I've had it as bad as where then they break it, comes in and hits the motorhome. So those are bad. I've seen situations where we have weight distribution systems. It's always the simple things where, again, it has a little L clip that you put on to hold the bar on, and they were in a rush and they didn't do that. So the first turn they have, that bar slips out, and now you have tension on one side, no tension on the other. One example was not our install, but it was a friend of ours that did it, and it literally had so much tension when it let loose, the trailer flipped and rolled.
Wow.
And so you see some horror stories out there. On the do-it-yourselfers are guys that came in and said, I bought this hitch on, would you check it? And it requires 3 bolts on each side, and there's 1 on each side with a half a bolt into one. And I'm like, what happened here? He's like, I just couldn't get that tight enough. And I'm like, is that why you're having me check this? So it's not so much check. You would like to finish this install,
do this right?
So those are the kind of the goofier ones we see.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's more out there. I mean, the unfortunate ones are guys just, like we were talking about, bike racks on the roof. You come home, you're tired. The last thing you think about is your bike's on the roof, and you drive into your garage. Those happen. And those can be complicated. I remember probably 20 years ago, a dude went through the Vail garage on an old Explorer, and it literally opened his roof like a tuna can.
Wow.
So it wasn't like he just ruined his bike racks, but now his car got totaled. So it's crazy how there's just everything we do nowadays, right? It's just, you have to just be aware and make notes to yourself or something. But yeah, it can ruin the day, to say the least. So,
especially when it was something, like you said, small. Something minor that can cause huge problems.
Exactly. And it's just, it's like we're all, kind of going back to the immediacy of with texting. We're all like that, we're just always in a rush sometimes. And so, especially on our flat toes, I try to tell people to just, do a little laminated sheet and really go step by step by step. The weight distribution is somewhat similar, because it's just too many little things that you can miss that can lead to just a bad scenario, to say the least. So
Yeah, it can ruin your whole vacation.
right,
your
or
whole getaway.
more for they could ruin a whole summer.
Your bike or
potentially.
your car,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Can a weight distribution system kind of save a lot of different, like last time we were talking, I don't know a lot about it, but you said, the car was basically vertical up,
Right.
The front two wheels just popping up. Now, what type of cars can that weight distribution fix everything?
yeah, so weight distribution literally can work in any 2-inch receiver. And then it's dependent upon the trailer you're towing. So any trailer, it's an A-frame. So your standard camping trailers. Generally speaking, you can add a weight distribution to it. So you can have even as like on an SUV that's towing a trailer. It's like 3,500, 4,000, which is right at kind of the level what that vehicle can tow. That weight distribution system is going to make it better because one, we're distributing the weight through to the front axle of the vehicle, but now all 4 wheels are pulling the weight of the trailer. And we're kicking weight back onto the trailer itself. So we're truly distributing that weight. So it's easier on the engine, easier on the vehicle in general. And then it's just making it safer, just like you said. Without that, let's say you're using it, they were in all the weight constraints, but still you hook it up and the rear of your vehicle slags. Like a Toyota RAV4 is a great example. Kind of sloppy at the rear. If you put something crazy heavy, the front's going to come up. So your headlights are pointing to the sky, your steering wheel's kind of floating. And so there's times where even though you're within all the specs, it's something we probably need to give thought to because we need to make that situation more safe.
Right.
And make the towing experience more enjoyable for the campers.
So even if all the specs are right, it's something that you would still probably recommend.
Sometimes, absolutely.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Now I'll always try to again educate myself on what they're doing because in certain circumstances, you can actually make the ride a little bit rougher just because it's stiffening everything up. But at the same time, I'll take a little bit stiffer ride if I know that all the 4 wheels are on the ground. I'm pointing the headlights like I'm straight, and the trailer's level like it's supposed to be. So
Right. Gotcha. Well, springtime coming and summertime coming, there's a lot of events. You were talking last time that you guys do a lot of these events, convention centers, stuff like that. Do you find at these events that they're really serious, curious people that are going the RV route, the fifth wheel route and everything? So is it a lot of education?
That's why I do. I mean, one, I'm there to get in front of people, obviously. It's also to educate myself to kind of see what's new on the horizon because generally most of the shows we're at are going to be the ones that everyone's showing off their new products and where everything's going. But it also kind of helps me kind of get a feel for where the customers are going. And, like this year with the Sprinter upfitted vans it's a crazy market. That's where a lot of people are going. It's an expensive market, but a lot of people are going there. That's what they're really looking for. A little bit more small where you have your camper inside of your vehicle. So you don't have to worry about a tow behind. You get your destination, you set up shop, you're right there. And then when you're ready to drive someplace, you can do that. So that's becoming huge. I mean, it's always been somewhat big, but
It is
that's
huge,
the big one right now for sure. And some of these outfits on some of these are just, I mean, they're awesome. They're crazy expensive, but they're awesome.
I watched some of these builds too, how they convert just like a Mercedes van into just this, incredible van life.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're impressive, you know. And,
expensive.
yeah, expensive. But there's some guys that are like, I don't want to say going off grid, but literally they're selling their home and this is what they're doing.
Yeah,
This is where they are. And so I'm like, well, I guess you want to have every luxury you can then within reason. So I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved even back then you have these portable solar energy is a big thing right now.
Yes.
So you have these portable solar energy setups where people can, a lot of times if you're in an RV or something like that, you want to go under a tree or some shade or something like that. But if you have it mounted to the top or something like that, then you're not getting the sun, you're not getting the energy, but you have these portable ones.
Correct. Yeah. They fold up to a suitcase. It's very simple. You unload them. They come with connections depending on your trailer. If not, it's just 2 alligator clips to your battery. But that way you can move it around, collect the sun throughout the day. So the whole goal is to store back up the battery with the energy you stole from that night before. And kind of the same thing. We have the exact same thing for satellite TV. Same thing as guys want to have their TV, but they park under a tree, and now your satellite system's blocked. So we have a portable satellite that can do the same thing. Yeah. So again, back to having all of our luxuries that we possibly can while we camp.
Well, you got to get your streaming episodes, even if you're out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, exactly.
Go ahead.
No, go for it. I was just going to say you got to watch a little Landman while you're out.
Oh, yes.
Right, out in the vast desert.
Yeah.
Any kind of custom jobs for us, like you just made me think of tailgating. Do you install any TVs with hydraulics or any kind of fancy
we
stuff?
don't get into that. That's more going to be on the RV side. Some of the things we do, though, for the tailgating are we have are big on awnings that come off the top of your roof, so they can either come straight out. We have one that actually goes 260 degrees. So you can cover a lot of space underneath you. Yeah. We do have pullouts, so like on a truck, we have a whole tailgate that pulls out. So you can load all your stuff up and then bring it out, so it's easy to use.
Yeah, so storage.
Yeah, we've got swing away grills that can go into a trailer hitch. So
swing away grills.
Yeah, so that way you goes in your trailer hitch, you swing it out, you can still get into the rear of your vehicle. Yeah. So there's a lot of little toys.
Yeah. I was looking at some of those. Those are great.
Yeah,
that's definitely a Broncos tailgate party right there. I'm really looking forward to the Broncos.
So am I. I hope. Oh, yeah. I'm hoping
after that draft.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk about, so you've been doing this for a long time, and I love you're out in the public. You're out in chambers of commerce. You're out basically being the face of the company, which I know you love. But I want to talk about the other things that really just being a business owner. I know it comes with the stress and the headaches as well as the glory. What are some of your favorite things about what you do?
I still think I think it's when you say like the 4.8 star rating. I think I still am happy when we do an install for someone that we've made hopefully the experience good just through the install, but hopefully that we've allowed them now to do something that they weren't doing before. So whether it's as simple as now I can take my bikes with me to go biking, or now I just got this camper and I get to go take this camp route. I get to go have fun with it, or as simple as a ski rack. I get to take my skis with me. So I think it's more, I guess, the accomplishment of letting people get to take their toys where they want to go, or in the bigger cases when I want to get companies to get their equipment to their destination. But I think it's just the sense of accomplishment that we're helping someone do something they need to do. So whether it's as easy as, by the way, I got my kid, I've got to get him out. He's moving, coming back home from college. I got to get a hitch on to get a trailer to get him moved out. If I can make that process easier, then great. So I think that's where, that's what I feel the most from it. Nice. So,
and not only individuals, actually, you work with a lot of fleets.
We're trying to get more fleets, absolutely. But yeah, we're I tell everyone fleets are where it's at, right? Yeah. All these companies that have multiple vehicles, we want to help them as much as possible.
Right.
We do a very small portion. We're trying to get more. That's really why I'm putting my face out there, is to get more. Yeah. We want to see more of those. We want to help out more of these guys. And from a selfish standpoint, it's better for us than we just have a continuous loop of one helping people, but number two is just a source of revenue. Because these guys, and my point is, they're going to somebody. I'd rather come to me than somebody else. So.
Well, number three, you're just making it life easier for that business owner. 4.8 out of 5, they know that they're going to get good quality work.
That's what we say, yes. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. We're going to be releasing some videos of your shop. If you guys haven't been to the shop, definitely check it out. Again, 10677 West Centennial, right near Kipling and C470. And you walk in, and I swear to God, it's like your own car Amazon building.
Everyone said, a lot of guys will say the candy store for an automotive enthusiast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Guitar Center for a musician.
Right.
It's
there
just,
you go.
You can just spend hours.
Chocolate factory.
Exactly.
And being spring, I'm looking at your special offers. Anything that in particular everyone's taking advantage of right now?
The big one is a lot of RV accessories. So whether that's as simple as stuff for odors with their sewer tanks, sewer hoses, toilet paper, getting into surge protectors are becoming big again. So when you get your site, so you plug in so there's no backfeed to destroy your poor power system. Right. I think more right now is more RV accessories though, for sure. But then also, like when we started off, it's just everyone getting prepped, getting that vehicle ready, whether it's a new vehicle or not, to take the toys they want to take.
Yeah.
And you said earlier that you don't install used equipment.
Correct.
But you do. Do you sell used equipment?
We do
that
not.
people- you cannot.
Our insurance won't cover us on any of that, and so that's just it's a liability we can't take on.
And that's very
Makes
interesting to me. Yeah, I mean, used equipment. You don't. Why do you think that is? I mean, is it just you don't know what it's been through?
It's what it's been through. So, I'll give you an example of one
Sure,
thing that we'll
yeah.
like. So we'll set up. So let's say a guy buys a used fifth wheel hitch. We'll install everything that fifth wheel hitch can go into. We just can't really do. We can say, okay, here we set it in there for him, but we can't back anything that hitch does. But I think that's the issue nowadays. Is that a truck could be in an accident with that fifth wheel. You don't even know.
Right.
So maybe there's some press, some tension, some stress that went on that nobody really knows. And it's just, again, our hands get tied. I have to just make sure I'm covered by insurance on the backside. So I kind of, I have to do what they say from that perspective. But I think that's what it is. You just don't know where that product, what it's been doing.
You know what? Maniac was using it before.
Right. Or, and it could be super clean. So, so I don't lie to anybody. I tell people, I mean, there's still a place for it, whether it's next door, whether it's Craigslist. I mean, just because a product's used doesn't mean it shouldn't be used. I just can't back it myself, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right.
Too much of a liability.
Yeah, exactly.
And why install something if you can't back it?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, being the owner of Hitch Corner for 35 years, we didn't really talk about this last time, but what do you like to do for fun?
Wow, I know.
You say everybody and their toys.
Right. It's so fun. I get this question every year. Everyone's like, well, what camper do you have?
Yeah. What kind of setup do you have?
And I have to say, but, for 35 years now, my summer is spent at work,
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say 35 because that's not fair. The last couple summers, mostly we talked about this quite a bit last time. My big summers now are really with my boys for lacrosse.
Yeah.
My older one, I don't have to go traveling for him this summer because he's out of college, or not out of college, but in college. So he don't travel for the summer, but my youngest travels. And because of the crew that I have, I will literally be in the East Coast for almost the whole month of July.
Oh, wow.
With him. So yeah, so that's kind of I'm not sure I want to say it's a treat, but it's something we do. So
Well, that's an amazing crew that you have there then too. That you trust them.
and
that
that's
much.
why trust me. It's taken me a lot of years to allow for that, for number one, but that's really made my life better where I can get away.
Right.
5-6 years ago, I was there, 70 hours a week, and I was just going insane. And then I would miss a kid's game. And so one thing I learned from my dad back in the day was he was at every game I'm at. And so I do my absolute best to be at every game of my boys that I can.
Right.
Going to visit my one in college is a little bit tougher, but we do our best. At least he's on TV all the time, so that's good. So.
That's good. Wow.
How are your boys' sports doing?
Well, Duke, they qualified for the ACC tournament, so they play North Carolina on Friday. I think there's still a good chance they're in the big tournament, but if they beat them, I think they're guaranteed in. So it's kind of a big game.
Yeah.
And then Charlie's my junior at Cherry Creek High School. We're undefeated so far. We've got one more game against Regis on Friday. If we can pull that one off, I think they should get the number 1 seed, and then we've got state. So we'll see how they go. It'll be a tough one. So we'll see though. But yeah, there's some good competition regardless.
I'll watch some college lacrosse every now and then.
It's
I played
impressive.
at Cherry Creek too. So
Oh, you did?
yeah,
So you're probably,
like 100 years ago.
I guarantee you know a lot of people I know then. So because we have a lot of parents that went to Creek on our team.
I'm sure. But Duke, I mean, that's not. You don't shake a stick at Duke lacrosse.
I tell everyone. I mean, my son's a solid player and he's a smart kid, but he doesn't get to Duke without lacrosse. And so it's been great for him. I think he sees the light at the end of the tunnel is what this is going to provide for him. It's pretty cool.
That's great. Good luck.
So yeah. It's fun.
Have your kids? Do they have any interest in what you do?
I believe zero.
I asked this.
I know
Because last time you said you didn't with your dad, really. I mean, you had a little.
No, I totally agree. Going in, I never thought about it. Yeah. So things could change. I don't think my oldest, I think Jack is, and I guess to be kind of that dad, if you're going to go to Duke, you probably don't need to be running the Hitch Corner. But I think my younger one potentially, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see on that one. No one has figured that saying I own a Hitch Corner business is a cool thing yet for those two. So
They haven't been there.
Yeah.
So is this second generation? Did you grow up doing it with your dad? Or
So
how
my
did
dad
this
had
start?
so my dad had a hitch business that had Denver Trailer Supply back in late 60s all the way up to 80. And then when the oil embargo hit, he crashed and burned. Went to U-Haul, became their main hitch mechanic. Like I said before, was really the only one still, I think to this day, was able to fabricate, weld, do that. And then in 90, he wanted to start up again. And I was just graduating from college, so I was a pretty silent partner on the very backside there for a little while. And then I think about 96, you know, I was working here and there, and then I was working for Lucent Technologies in a third-party role, and they kind of crashed and burned here in the state. And so then I was full-time with the Hitch Corner, and then we started to take it to different levels at that point. So
Wow.
Well, it's definitely amazing.
Come a long
levels.
way.
Yeah.
we've done well. Yeah, I
Impressive.
cannot complain. It's been good for us, to say the least. Yeah.
Well, definitely check out the website, hitchcorner.com. And convenient location in Littleton near C470 and Kipling. And Harold, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. And it was such a pleasure for our videographer and I to go into your shop and really see it. And it's even the storefront is not all of it, because you go into the back, you have so much inventory.
Yes,
It's
we do.
incredible.
Yeah, most people don't get to see that part. Actually, you got to see everything, you know. But
We got a
yeah.
behind the scenes.
Yeah, you got,
look.
yeah. So we stock a lot of trailer. We literally have, I think, 700 trailer hitches. The goosenecks and the fifth wheels. We have the majority of all that stock on. Like you were asking, why do we have to? We have to, you know, because people need it right now. It seems to be. And then we've got 2 lifts for installations and a pass through for like a big trailer. So
Yeah.
it's been I was glad you guys came down, because again, it's good to be able to show what we have.
Do you find that a lot of your business is people that need it last minute?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, our average Joe is our customer, but yeah, it's one, like I was saying, we get a lot like, I just realized, you know, I got to get my son out of his dorm. And I went back there. I swore I had a hitch. I didn't have a hitch. You know, they didn't even think about it. It's like, oh my goodness, you know, trailer's rented. I got to get it. So yeah, absolutely. Or just all of a sudden, you know how our weather is. Sometimes we'll get a call like, I get the chance to take my vacation. It's on Saturday. Can you get me in before? You know, so maybe they knew for a long time, but now all of a sudden it's come to.
It's a last minute thing.
Yeah, so we hit it a lot, and we do as best we can. Obviously, summers get tougher just because we're out sometimes 4 or 5 days, you know, but we do our best to squeeze them in. But we try to get you in as quickly as possible.
What right now, out of curiosity, is kind of like the time to get in? I mean, you guys are pretty busy. right now.
I would say right now probably 4 to 6 business days. So nothing too outrageous.
No.
So yeah. So, and then there's still, honestly, I tell everyone to call. There's certain days, if you call first thing in the morning, we potentially could say, I could get you in today. It just depends on the given day. So.
Right. Gotcha. And
how big the project
And the
or
project.
the job is. Yes,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that one day project, that ain't gonna work today.
And it makes sense with a lot of your customers kind of being last minute, why you carry such a vast inventory. And I bet some of that stuff has just been sitting there for years waiting for somebody.
There's definitely, we do the dust test for sure. And there's definitely one that when we do sell it and we kind of do that dust check, then I know not to reorder it for sure. So,
Right.
You know, because
gotcha.
it's always, you're trying to plan ahead, and then sometimes that vehicle you just never see. So absolutely.
Right. And when it comes to vehicles, would you find most of the stuff that you're working on? I read this thing where a lot of people are keeping their cars now.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of vehicle sales. Would you find most of them are within a certain year mark right now instead of brand new?
I would say most of ours are probably within the last 5 years. You're not anything too great. I mean, we still see everything. You know, I had a quote the other day for a customer with a '79 Chevy truck.
Ooh.
So we'll get a little of everything for sure. But yeah, I think I'll be curious how new truck sales are this year. I mean, vehicles and sales in general, but truck sales are the bigger one for us. So we'll just see how this falls this year. But we still see a lot of new ones. But generally, I would say within the last 5-7 years,
Right.
a lot of the used. Yeah.
And I bet you see a lot of really cool setups where, can I take a picture of this?
Right. Well, I would say today I was rather impressed. We did a setup on a Bronco Raptor, and this was definitely looked to me like, you know, one of those, I think ordered directly, you know, every piece in bar. And this thing was off the charts legit. It was awesome looking, to say the least. So
Nice.
yeah, it was impressive.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. Well, again, it's always a pleasure. And your installers were just really cool. And it was kind of funny because they just kind of like, oh, hi, and they went back to work because they are focused. They are concentrated.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if they want to be on TV. Maybe they do, or on the radio, whatever. But
radio.
it's but yeah, they know they got to get their stuff done, and so no, it was cool. So
Right.
yeah, so no, I'm very lucky from that perspective for sure.
And I knew one of them was really great because his name was Josh. So,
The winner, right?
yeah, exactly.
How many employees do you have?
So I've got at the shop, I always have my manager and 2 installers.
Yeah.
We have one other kid that comes in 2 days a week, and then I have an IT guy. And then when I'm there to help if I can. So we're about 5-ish.
Okay,
so
so not a huge.
No, we probably will need to be bringing on another installer here shortly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, but it's just I learned to kind of, you want to keep it kind of lean and first of all, tough to find good guys. But number 2, it's, to train them and get them at this level is, I just want to hold on to them and keep them but keep them busy as well. So,
And going through all the licensing and the certifications and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
Is there a slow time of year?
Our slow time is always starting, probably October through February. We've been lucky. This year, January, February was much slower than usual. But for the most part, those slower periods have gotten less. So we're at least more consistent. But definitely March through September are really the rockin' months for sure.
Yeah.
That's where you just get a little bit of snowplow action, right?
Right. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, again, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me. I think this is awesome. I appreciate it.
I got to make sure, Kevin, you got to see this Hitch Corner. It's just absolutely amazing what they do right there. So, Harold, always a pleasure. And check them out, hitchcorner.com. You can also call them 303-904-1558. Their website has a click here to text us, and you're going to get an actual human being with a pulse that's going to be responding, not just a chat bot right there. Or visit them at the convenient location, 10677 West Centennial Road, and 4.8 out of 5 rating. That's just great.
We're shooting for 4.9s. This is good. So.
I like it. How close are you?
I haven't looked that close. I think we're good though. So I think we got to be somewhat close. So.
All right. One last question before we kind of go. Is there any shows as of now that that you guys are going to?
The only show that will be there is an RV show, which is the last week, very last day of July. So I think it's July 31st through August 2nd. Mm-hmm. That will be at the convention center. That'll be again an RV show that we're committed to that we'll be at. But for the summer, nothing yet. And as busy as where we probably won't. Mm-hmm. We've had a couple of requests, but I don't see us doing anything.
That's a good problem to have, to be too busy.
I'm not going to complain. Absolutely. And I'd rather, take care of my customers as opposed to take away someone not just to be at something, but, let's take care of the guys that are already there and, and then we'll build up for more getting to those, the winter months, getting more people in the door. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you very much. This has been an interview with K4CO Radio. Definitely stay tuned because we have Kev right across from me. Kev on the radio live for your afternoon mix of music between 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And also stick by after that. We are going to have Brent Minzer with IT1 Services. Anything with computers they can take care of. So you've been listening to Harold Kiefer with HitchCorner.com. Definitely check them out. And stay tuned for a little Kev on the radio.
All right. I'll see you in a few. Thank you, Harold.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.